Who benefits from a business increasing efficiency? Are you wondering who actually benefits when a business has less wasted resources? If so, by the time you're done watching this video, you'll have the answers. First, we'll uncover what efficiency is and is not. Then we'll take a look at who should be benefiting in an ideal situation. It may not happen all the time, but still, ideally, others should benefit as well. Ready to get started? Let's go. Efficiency, in general terms, is how well a business uses its resources to accomplish its goals. You want as little amount of waste as possible. And so when we talk about resources, that could be time, that could be talent, that could be finances, that could even be raw materials. So we're looking at how efficiently we're using these items, how little waste we have from using these items to achieve our goals. So I think about who actually benefits when a business is more efficient. In an ideal world, all stakeholders would benefit. So that's everyone from your investors to management to team members to customers. Everybody should benefit ideally from increased efficiency, but that's not always how it works. The first group that typically benefits is management and leadership, which makes sense because since they're the ones driving efficiency, they're normally incentivized to have more of it. How do they benefit? By driving efficiency, it usually makes operations smoother, making it easier to achieve business objectives and implement strategic initiatives. In other words, increased efficiency makes it easier for management to hit their KPIs, which they're normally bonused on. So I think you can see how anyone that's in management is usually incentivized to have greater efficiency. Usually after management and leadership, the actual investors tend to benefit next. Increased efficiency oftentimes leads to increased profitability, which can result in higher dividends and stock prices. Now, this is by design. Remember how I said that management and leadership normally benefit first because they're driving it and they're incentivized by it? Well, who's incentivizing them? Who's keeping them around? Obviously, you want to make sure that your investors are happy. And so they're passing on some of that savings and some of that benefit to them as part of this kind of interesting loop of benefit. So both sides are kind of benefiting from each other there. So the next group that should benefit, but they're not always the first two tiers to benefit, are actually customers. When we have increased efficiency in a business, they can enjoy everything from faster service to improved product quality and even potentially lower prices due to cost savings from increased efficiency. Now I know what you're thinking. When was the last time you knew a business that you did business with that became more efficient but passed on the savings to you? Doesn't always happen. We don't tend to see prices being lowered that often in most types of businesses. However, that faster service, that better product quality, we do tend to see that one a little bit more often. So now let's think about team members themselves. Now this is a tricky one because I think you can see how the first three groups we mentioned, they're prioritized to be at the top. When you think about team members, greater efficiency can benefit them in many instances because it makes their jobs easier or more enjoyable because they're not spending as much time doing mindless things that can't be automated. They're focused on things that actually fully utilize their brains, their creativity. It makes them feel valuable. Now, the challenge is that sometimes companies become so efficient that they're actually able to lay off some of their workforce. So that's a whole nother problem. But in this case, we're talking about the efficiency that actually benefits the team members themselves. So the next group to benefit are communities themselves in which the businesses operate. And you might be asking yourself, how do communities benefit? Well, most efficient businesses have a smaller environmental footprint than they would have had they not been efficient. Because remember, when we think about efficiency, we're reducing waste. So having less waste obviously improves the community the business is located in. They may also contribute more to the local economy by being more competitive and sustainable. So by increasing their efficiency and increasing their output or their ability to operate from an efficient standpoint, it allows them to stay in business longer, serve more people, and potentially pay more taxes in the communities where they're located. So let's talk about a few of the other groups that we haven't discussed that might also benefit. Everyone from financial partners to affiliates, believe it or not, regulatory bodies, because they're not spending as much time with the organization because their practices are so efficient, they can easily assess if they're following the correct regulations. And even suppliers themselves can benefit from increased efficiency in a business. So when you're thinking about increased efficiency, the thing we have to keep in mind is that efficiency and effectiveness really are two different things. In fact, I have another video that discusses that very topic. And so when we think about reducing waste, that also means wasted talent. So understand that as a business becomes more efficient, your workers may not stay as busy. They may be able to get more done in 6 hours than they used to in 8 hours. The goal here is not then just to capture those extra 2 hours and find more work for them. Now, you may need that, but you may not. And what you might also do is by freeing up that extra time and gifting it back to your people if possible, you might contribute to greater goodwill amongst your team members, making them more dedicated to your company and less likely to go to one of your competitors. So when we think about planning for the future, when we think about efficiency, it's all about ensuring that our companies will be around for a long time. I do have a gift for you. You're going to notice that in the description of this video, there is a link to download the Future Ready Playbook. Now, this is a playbook that I created especially for you. If you open up this playbook, what you're going to find is a long list of activities and worksheets that are going to help you get started with being more strategic in planning for the future. Everything from how to properly set goals to scenario planning, and even some of the really cool tools that I use as a futurist for my consulting clients. So if you haven't already downloaded this tool to help you with your personal, professional, or business goals, take a moment to download it right now.